I work smarter, not harder anymore. I used to just grind. I see appraisers out there that are still working till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get things out. I love having the ability not to have to do that anymore.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris once again hanging out with you in the podcast chair. I want to pause and remind you that we're sponsored by three great companies. Of course, Alamode. Alamode is helping you to get your report done quicker, more efficiently, and with better quality. Check them out and go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Of course, Synapse is helping you to support your adjustments. Folks, you all need to make sure you're not licking your fingers, sticking it in the air, and putting something on a piece of paper. Synapse will help you to support what you're actually doing. Go to spark4appraisers.com and click on the Synapse button. And finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE is helping to keep you informed, keep you in the know when it comes to appraisal and real estate. Check them out. Go to workingre.com. Again, it's workingre.com. Want to welcome back to the program, good friend of mine and a friend of the program, been on several times, still has the record for the most listened to episode, Mr. Mark Skapinetz. Mark, welcome back to the program, my good friend.
How you doing?
Couldn't be better, my friend. Life is good. I'm living the dream. You?
I hear that, man. Things are good. Business is good. Life's good.
Wait a second.
It's good all the way around.
We're recording this first part of August. Full disclosure to everybody. It will take a couple of weeks to edit and get out, but most appraisers would not greet me with that kind of response when I say, how are things? You said business is good. Most appraisers are saying, well, business is a little bit slow right now. So what gives, my friend?
Business ain't slow. You just got to know where to get it and where and what to do to get it. It's not the AMC work and it's not the lender work. That's for darn sure.
And let's talk about that for just a little bit, if you don't mind, Mark, because most appraisers that listen to this program probably have that business model. I mean, that's what most fee appraisers do, is they focus on that lender work. Lender work, as we know, applications are down over 60% over last year. Now, we had a banner year last year and the year before. So, what's the comparison? Well, maybe you ought to compare it to 2019. I don't know. I think things are up over 2019, but who knows, right? But you don't really focus on that anymore, do you?
No. I used to be one of those people for most of my career to focus on the lender work and the AMC side of things. I mean, geez, I remember going back when AMCs first came around and I was like signing up rampantly with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Only to dwindle that list down from 2009 to today to only 2 AMCs that I work with out of the 200 and some odd plus that are registered in the state of Georgia. So, and business is still good at that number because I, 2 years ago, I think it was, I got with some good people like yourself and Blaine Fayen out there and really just took to heart and took the words of wisdom to start building the private side of my business.
Okay.
While most people are out there, I'll preface this, I'm not giving my secrets away on this show on how I do it. That's for sure. But I will say this, that the old ways that I see constantly in the groups being posted when people are looking for private work or how to get into it, the old ways of calling up attorneys or calling up real estate agents or going out and talking to them, I mean, that still works. But man, we're in 2022.
Yeah.
There's no phone books anymore. There's internet. People have their
what is that? Internet?
The internet, yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
People have, especially attorneys and other people, they've built up their portfolios of people that they trust to do their work. So you're not going to get in on that unless you're really lucky and meet somebody, but you have to find the alternative ways and use the internet and use the technology and use the tools that are out there. And if you don't know, then you should go and research or find out, because there's so many other ways to get the private work, get noticed, have people contact you. How you respond to them. It's not just marketing anymore. It's not just going out there and buying ads and paying for your name to be out there that you're the #1 appraisal service in the Atlanta metro area or anything like that. People don't care about that anymore. When people are looking for an appraiser, they are searching keywords and they are looking on the internet. And that's where they're going to go to find appraisers. So you need to utilize it, but also you got to think outside the box. Think outside the box to find other alternative ways to do work and other things that you can do out there. And that's just what I did. And it really took a little while to build it, but man, has it paid off.
Well, and that's one of the things I think that's a struggle for most appraisers and really most people in general, right? We're an instant gratification type of a society, right? And it does take time to build up that private side. But Mark, I hope you don't mind me saying this. You and I have known each other for a long time, and when I first met you, you were a little bit negative, right? You were dealing with a lot of, and it wasn't just on the appraisal side, but you were deep in the AMC side, right? And there was a lot of things to be angry about, and I think a lot of appraisers are still in that world, and that's why I bring it up. And maybe just throw the ball to you to, talk to those appraisers who are still angry, volume's low, fees are low, revisions are high. They're dealing with crap that you don't really deal with anymore, do you?
Life is so much more sweeter now that I don't have to deal with that. Less stress. I manage my time better. I play golf now more, all because of it. I mean, I have more free time. I work smarter, not harder anymore. I used to just grind. I see appraisers out there that are still working till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get things out. I love having the ability not to have to do that anymore. I love the ability to just work. Typically my work week now is Monday through Thursday, and I work Friday mornings from 6 a.m. to about 10 a.m. And then guess what? I'm out on the golf course playing golf the rest of Friday because that's just how it works for me now. So I would say, yeah, I was a very angry appraiser back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there in this appraisal world will remember those days. No. I mean, very negative, very angry.
Many of them are still there,
Yeah.
And this idea, and I think a lot of them will sit back and they'll hear your story and say, well, yeah, that's great, Mark. I'm glad that works for you in Atlanta, but I live in Kansas. It's not going to work for me.
It could work anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, I look at it this way, Dustin. I mean, my story. Everybody knows my story. I mean, I was angry. Some things happened to me. I made some mistakes. I was on a high at one point, then I went all the way down rock bottom where I thought I wasn't going to be anywhere anymore. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be appraising anymore. Kind of turned that around with the help of a lot of good support systems. But when I turned it around, it was also me having to accept the fact that I needed to make the changes. I needed to figure out where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go with my business, with my life, and how I wanted to do things. I'm not going to be a rah-rah, shish, boom, bah, positivity guy because that's still not me. Okay, I am still a negative person in some ways, but I'm a more positive person, but I'm also a more forthcoming person where I'll just speak my mind, which makes me happy. That's me, and it's always going to be me. But I had to make the changes. The changes were hard, but in the beginning they were hard. But as things went along and started going, I started to see how things started to ease up on me. I started to become less stressed because I didn't have to meet the deadlines and deal with all the crap and revisions and everything else out there, or the low pay or the bids or anything. I'm now in control. Finally, I can say today, I am in control of my business. I'm in control of my business, my life, what I want to do, how much money I want to make. I could make a lot more money if I wanted to, but guess what? I also realized that doing so is going to put me in probably maybe a bad position again to create more stress in my life.
Sure. Yeah.
So I gear my work towards the private side. I charge more. I spend less time doing revision requests. I enjoy talking to people. Life is just so much better that way when you find something you really like, but you have to work for it. That's it. And this way, it's not just going to come to you.
One of the things that you've mentioned several times, and I want to circle back to, because I think this really is the cause of the difficulty that so many appraisers are in. Because I don't want to romanticize what you did, right? You were in that AMC world. You were struggling like many of us do. There was a lot of crap, if you want to, let's just use that word instead of another one that comes to mind that you have to deal with. To get from where you were to where you are now, you said was hard work. And I think that's what causes most appraisers to just pause and say, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to rebuild my business in a different way? But one of the things I want to focus on and just have you expand a little bit is you said it was hard in the beginning. Explain that.
Well, when you don't know where to go and how to get it, you're reaching out to other people, obviously. Mm-hmm. So you're getting their thoughts, just like you said. It may not work in my area. It works in your area. Great. Well, I say that's crap because it can work everywhere. Yeah. You just have to know what to do. And I didn't know what to do. So I went to a lot of other various resources, a lot of various people, listened to other podcasts like yourself. I listened to Blaine. I listened to other people out there, not even just appraiser podcasts, business podcasts. I'm massive ADHD. Okay. I just that's it. I have massive ADHD and I admit it to this day end. I listened to a lot of podcasts about ADHD and how to control it better and how to utilize it in my business and how I can utilize my creativity and my mind. So when I say the hard work, yeah, I had to do a lot of research, and reach out to a lot of people that, there's a lot of people out there that say, Dustin, I'm just going to use it for you. I mean, I got to say it. So I'm going to seek the truth here, Dustin. I'm going to seek the truth. But I mean, it's, the truth of the matter is that, if you're not willing to reach out, you're not willing to open your mind to other ideas and to what other people do, whether you agree with it or not, if it's working for them, why wouldn't you at least try it? At least just try it, or at least reach out to them to say, hey, how did you get to that point? And maybe see if you could try it. Maybe see if you could tweak it a little bit. I took lots of things I've learned from you, from Blaine, from other people, from other podcasts. Even one of my good friends that I play golf with all the time. He's a very successful business person, ex-NFL player. I mean, most humble guy in the world, but he inspires me because he has 2 master's degrees and he's working on his doctorate. And we talk all the time about how I can better myself and what I can do better and how to get myself out there and how to change things up. That's the hard work. The hard work is learning, applying it, and seeing what works for you over time. And then that's when you start to master, okay, this is working really good. This isn't. Let me put that aside. Let me work on this more, this aspect of my business. That was the hard work. It was really admitting to myself that I didn't know crap. I knew nothing. I thought I knew it all, but I didn't know anything. And that was really hard for me to take in and understand that I didn't know. And I had to allow others to kind of show me the way, guide me, and then allow me to formulate it on my own.
It takes humility. It takes humility. It takes the acceptance of a teacher and to be a pupil. And we don't know what we don't know. By the way, Mark, I have a new theory. Speaking of seeking the truth, what if Bill Johnson is actually Mark Skapinetz? What do you think of that?
That's impossible. I don't have
the only guy that's actually offered a reward for someone who Bill Johnson is.
I don't have that time or effort to go that way. I mean, I'm trying to build relationships now. I still have to laugh about it. It's just always a joke between you and I and everything. But I mean, that would be funny. That would be hilarious. I mean, maybe Dustin, for Halloween this year, just put a big sheet over yourself and just say you're Bill Johnson because you don't know who you are. I don't know.
With a big
I'll be honest with this though. I've seen Bill write some things out there. Bill has actually agreed with some things I've actually said lately.
Wow.
So and I've actually agreed with some of the things he said lately. So I don't know. Maybe there could be like a little bit of a what do you say? It's the extending of the branch here to Bill to say, hey man, I appreciate what you're saying and doing and whatnot. And I'd love to talk to him one day. That would be fantastic. I mean, because he has said some good things lately. So
Bill, it's a longstanding invitation. Come on this podcast. No editing. Say what you want to say. I would love to have a discussion. Talking with Mark Skapinetz. Mark, when we get back from the sponsorship, I want to talk to you a little bit about an experience that you had recently because I think it applies to appraisers with regard to comp photos, and then talk a little bit more about what you're doing with your podcast and some blogging and different things that you're getting some information out there. But first, I want to pause here and remind everybody we're sponsored by 3 great companies. One of them being Synapse. Folks, they're a new sponsor here. And I'll tell you, I've used this program and I love this program. This is an amazing way to support your adjustments. Now, it's not perfect. It's a program, right? It's data. It allows you to analyze the data properly. Those of you who are guessing, okay, you know who you are, at $65 a square foot or $12 a square foot for basement or X amount per square foot for acreage or what have you. This program will help you to be able to actually understand what's going on in your market. And it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. I was asked that this morning on a client call. And he said, well, Dustin, how long does it take? Do you use it on every report? And I said, every report I can do it on, I do it on. How long does it add to the time that you do it? Folks, 3 minutes. It's that easy. It's that quick. Check them out. Go to spark4appraisers.com. Click on the Synapse button. Automotive, of course, is the program that I've been using for well over 20 years, almost 30 years now. And they've been in business almost 40 years, helping appraisers to be better at what they do, helping them have the tools to have what they need to be effective and have high quality reports. Check them out, folks. There's a reason they're the leader, alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Finally, we're sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Folks, once a quarter, they send out the physical magazine, but about once a week, maybe twice a week, they send out some great articles about what's going on with the appraisal world. And both of those are absolutely free. Sign up by going to their website, workingre.com. Again, it's workingres, as in workingrealestate.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Mr. Mark Skapinetz. How many times have you been on this program, man?
I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there.
Well, you're not to the level of Tim Anderson, but you still hold the record for the most listened to episode. We were talking about concealed carry. And I want to talk to you about an experience that you had recently with regard to comp photos. Let me just lay it on the table, Mark, before I throw the microphone back at you. I don't think it's any surprise, but if you're new to this program, folks, I am not a big fan of comp photos. What I am a big fan of is allowing appraisers to decide when driving past the property is appropriate, because it's not always appropriate, right? And certainly slowing down, rolling down your window and sticking a camera out at someone's house is probably never a smart idea, even if you do drive the neighborhood. Okay. That being said, Mark, talk to us.
All right, man. Well, I mean, I'm going to preface this first by saying, look, I know there's a lot of people out there that may agree to disagree with me or will disagree with me or even agree with me. But I will say this, that, I mean, I am in agreement that driving your comps and signing that certification is something you have to do. Okay. You can drive through your neighborhoods, you can drive past your comps, you can drive and look at them, see what's best for you. I mean, if you can get a picture, great, get a picture. But we are living in a day and age now where everybody is on edge. It's just a crazy world we live in. Just for an example's sake, here in Georgia, we are allowed to carry. We used to be concealed carry, but now it's constitutional carry. So pretty much anybody can just carry a weapon anywhere they want. Anytime. There's no, you still have to pass a background check to get that. But if you've already had your concealed carry permit past it, you can have it. So, I mean, okay, great. But we're living in a crazy world. And my story is this. I've been chased in the past. I've had people run me down with their cars, yelling and screaming and giving me issues about taking a photo of their house, which, okay, I get it.
I get it too. I mean, let's just set the scene first. We get upset at this, right? When people chase us down the street. And certainly I would never do that. But if I didn't have the background that I have as an appraiser to be casually washing dishes and look up through the window and seeing a car slow down, roll down the window, stick a camera out right at my house and take a picture and drive off, that's not a fun thing to see.
No, it's not. And you're going to get a lot of people out there that are going to say sort of things like, "Oh, put signs on your car," or, "Hey, if we don't take comp photos, you're dumbing down the profession." I disagree wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. The appraiser's job, as we know it, is to analyze and to make sure that we are getting the right facts, analyze all the data, and support our professional opinion of value. What in the world does a picture of a house have to do with that? If you're looking at the comps on MLS when you're selecting them, I mean, you see how real estate agents, they put up their photos. Other sites cherry pick those photos, Zillow, Redfin, whatever. They all cherry pick them and put them on there. Mm-hmm. I just think that in this day and age, it's just kind of creepy with what's going on and how people's temperaments are, and you just don't know who is doing what out there.
I agree.
Yes, we know as an appraiser, we know, and I see it all the time on the boards. Hey, make sure you agents tell your clients that somebody may come by at some point and take a picture of their house, within the next year. Okay, well, what about those retrospective appraisals that have maybe a comp photo from, you're doing an appraisal from 5 years ago and you have to go out and get the comp photo? Or what if these people forget? What if they sell and move and nobody else tells them? I mean, I get it. I get the arguments, but here's what happened to me. So I was driving around my neighborhood, was doing an appraisal maybe about 3 miles from my house.
Okay.
And I did the appraisal, the inspection. I went around, started driving my comps around the area, and I started taking my pictures. So I took my pictures and I just kept going. Well, I get onto this main road where I have to make a right-hand turn. It's a double light. So you have to stop at this one light and then both lights will turn and then you could make your right-hand turn. Lo and behold, behind me, I see this guy honking his horn, flashing his lights at me, revving his engine. And I'm like, what is going on here? So even before the light turns green, he gets over to the next lane and sees that I'm turning and just cuts both red lights, just blows through them, makes the right-hand turn, and starts to go up the road. Well, the light turns green, I make my turn. As I'm driving up the road, there's that person. Now he starts to play chicken with me, where he starts to go, gas it, stop, gas it, stop, gas it, stop. So of course I lay on my horn, like, what is going on here? This has never occurred to me what was going on.
But it was a comp photo thing, yeah.
So I started to slow down a little bit. He then pulls, as we drive up the road a little bit, he pulls off to the side. And as I started to go by him, I look over, there he is. He rolls down his window, sticks his gun right out at me as I'm driving by. That's it. I gassed it.
Wow. Really?
I started to go. I turned off on this other road. I didn't want to go straight to my house.
Yeah.
So I kind of turned off this road. I see him fly by. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I back up and then, he's going in a direction towards my house. So I pull back out and I start going. And as I'm going, the heavens opened up. The sun came out. And I guess this guy apparently blew another stop sign and got caught by the cops right there.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he got caught by the cops. And I kind of waited. I pulled over, kind of waited. And then that's when I approached the officers. I believe they, at that point I watched them. They had them in handcuffs and whatnot. And they were asking me what I was doing. I approached them and I said, you know what happened to me here? This guy pulled a gun out on me as I was driving by. So I talked to the officers.
You still have no idea why he was chasing you, right?
I had no idea at that point. I still had no idea. And then that's when, the officers told me, okay, go home. I gave him my address. I went home. They came back later and they told me that this person said that I was taking pictures of his house and he was really upset because he's got small children and other things around there. And he wasn't sure who I was and if I was casing his house, because there have been, and I'll be honest with you, in my area I live in a lot of these sub neighborhoods, there's been a lot of break-ins. My car was broken into, 6 months, 8 months ago or something like that in my carport because I left it unlocked. Thank God nothing was in it. But there's been a rash of that going around the area. So, I mean, I get, his frustration and his craziness at that point. I'd be like crazy too if I saw people driving by my house taking pictures as well with that going on. But at the same time, to pull the gun out on me like that, thank God he did not fire it, because we've seen crazy things here in Atlanta, especially recently, where there's people just doing drive-bys on gas stations and, other stores in my area, or, just weird things going on with people just pulling guns and just shooting random shots all over the place. I mean, it could have been me. I could have been, if he had a trigger, I mean, it could have been me. So,
and I've said this before, I'll say it again. Maybe it's an inflammatory thing to say, but I'm just going to say it. Until an appraiser gets hurt or killed, I don't see this rule changing, which sucks, because this kind of thing happens all the time. It's not just Mark Skapinetz. I've been chased down 5 or 6 times now. Thankfully, never had a gun pulled on me. But what are we waiting for, folks? Are we really waiting for someone to get hurt or killed before we make this change?
Yeah, and again, like I said earlier, you're going to get a lot of people out there are going to say that you need to do it. I mean, I get it. Realtors don't always take the greatest comp photos, and they leave a lot of things out. But again, that's why you drive everything.
Exactly.
That's why you still drive it. You still look at the neighborhood. You can still pull up on that comp that you have, and as you're driving by, notice maybe there is a huge water tank or something behind there. Maybe they took a strategic photo.
Yep.
I just don't. I think, and this is just my opinion again, I think original comp photos, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think it kind of stemmed from the days when we didn't have the ability of this technology or anything on the internet, and you had to go take pictures out of the books, and find your comps out of the courthouse books and then go take photos of the houses and everything. And okay, fine. But now we're in a different time and age. And I think when people say that this will dumb down the profession if we don't have to take them, look, there's already people dumbing down the profession, people. There's people using other types of companies out there, I won't mention names, where they're hiring people to go take their comp photos for them, and they're not doing it. And I know it for a fact, and I see it. So I don't think that we're dumbing it down. I think also it just kind of allows us to analyze more, but it also, like the MLS photos and stuff, will actually depict more of what the recent home is. A lot of people say, oh, what if it burned down? Here's a brand new home. Okay, well, supply the MLS picture then. Okay, so you want me to take an original, but then now you want me to supply the MLS as well. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, Mark, those that say that, not taking comp photos is dumbing down the profession. I mean, really, that's what you think of your profession. The most important thing that you can be doing is driving around taking comp photos. I mean, that's dumbing down the profession, if you ask me. As you point out, the most important thing an appraiser can be doing is analyzing the data. That's what we're paid to do. That's why we're the professional.
Yeah, I mean, analyzing it. I mean, I still think you still need to drive. I still like to drive the neighborhood. I still like to look at the comps that I'm choosing to kind of take a drive around, see what they look like from the outside. Make sure there's nothing crazy on the that I could see from the street or anything. Obviously I use a lot of Google Maps. I use a lot of different things. Zoom in, kind of see what's out there. Yeah, some of the maps are outdated. So yeah, it's still a good idea to drive it and know the neighborhood and know what's going on in the neighborhood. Or the area. But I mean, I just, for taking these photos, it's really kind of just getting nerve-wracking to me. I mean, like you said, I think somebody's going to get hurt at some point, and if they don't, okay, nobody does, great. But to me, I think there's so many more things in this profession. I think there's so many more things that lenders can look for and get better quality work than worrying about an original comp photo. And again, I'll preface it, I'll say it again. I take my own photos, but I know that there's lots of people out there that send out trainees to take their comp photos. They send out runners. There's companies out there that specifically take pictures and send them to you, and you pay for them.
Sure.
I mean, it just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I wish they would kind of go away from that and just say, you can use an MLS pic. But then again, look at this. I mean, I've thought of other ways that you can get around this. I mean, I have no problem taking a picture of a street sign to show that I was at that street. I have no picture of.
See, I do. To me, that's a trust issue. And
I don't have a problem driving by, maybe taking a picture of a mailbox if I had to, instead of actually shining it on their house, just taking a picture of the mailbox. But another thing is that with technology, come on, do you think it's so funny to me that when I get like a reconsideration of value, or I get something from an AMC or somebody like that, or an underwriter, that they actually send me a actual listing or a picture from Zillow of this house. So you already know what it looks like if you're sending it to me. Come on, there's so many different ways to go about this that will be safer for everybody involved, I think. And I think it's just time in this day and age to really explore those options, explore those changes to see if we can make things similar. And I know, oh yes, Mark, great. We take away comp photos, they're gonna reduce our fees. Oh, okay. You're still driving the neighborhood, but they're gonna reduce your fees for actually not just taking a picture. I mean, that makes no sense to me if you're driving around. I mean, I don't care if I have a camera in my car. I'll download the video and show them I drove the neighborhoods if I had to prove it.
Yeah. Good for you. Well, safety is the key. I'm glad you're safe. By the way, we did an episode, speaking of Blaine, with Blaine back in 2019. I think it was 405 on safety, self-defense for appraisers. I think everybody should review that. But, we talked a little bit about count photos and what happens if you're chased, and you did all the right things, Mark.
Look, I mean, there are ways to go about it. There's ways to defend yourself. There's ways to protect yourself. Yes, you can put signs on there. Yeah, you can do other things. But at the end of the day, to be aware of what's going on and understand where you're going. That's why when I do all my work, I don't go right to the subject property first. I drive the neighborhood, or I drive around a couple streets and kind of see what's going on first. And then I park my car with the driver door so I, towards the house so I can get in easier. So there's so many different things, like you said with Blaine, and stuff. But I'm just baffled with everything else going on in this entire profession and how they want to speed things up and how they want to make things easier and faster. And they want to do all this stuff that yet comp photos are still required to be taken by the appraiser.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, again, you did the right thing. It's a scary world out there, and listeners, stay safe. Put your head on. If this happens to you, there's some safe ways to take care of it. But Mark, I appreciate you sharing this message, and hopefully the powers that be are listening, and we can see some changes. Speaking of changes, you've got some changes going on in your life, in your business. Talk to us about some things that are coming from the Skap.
Well, good news is I'm going to get back into the podcasting business.
That is good.
I had my first valiant attempt at it, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do at the time. I was enjoying writing, but I decided to create another podcast. But it's not just going to be me. This is the kind of podcast I like doing, talking with everybody, talking with other people, having others on and discussing things. So I saw a need where, we have a lot of people out there to do podcasts, a lot of great ones out there. But everybody seems to have their own little niche of what they are looking to accomplish with it. Blaine with his more business oriented and helping people and in those ways. Yours is getting information out like this and talking with people about different stories and what's going on out there. Tim Anderson, as he's Mr. UsePap, so I love listening to his stuff. You got Brian Reynolds with Appraiser Learning, talking about stuff. Well, I kind of want to go a different direction. So I created a new podcast that'll be coming out. I'm probably going to be doing my first episode in about a week. I've got a list of guests already that I've contacted. So I'm going to have a bunch of guests on, but it's going to be different where it's going to be me and somebody talking about certain topics. So if I want to talk about what's happening with real estate agents and appraisers and issues, I want to bring a good agent on to talk to me about things of that nature. If it's policy or policy making, I want to bring somebody on. Lawyers, I would love to get Craig Capilla and some other people on to talk with me about things, but it's going to be almost like a debate style. I'm going to talk to you about the real things that are going on out there. And I want somebody who's going to kind of give me that different view, or even if they do agree with me, we just have a great time talking about it. But we're getting good information out there to not only appraisers, but to everybody else, consumers. I've got some consumers that want to come on the podcast. I got some business people that want to come on. But it's just something that I thought was kind of missing in a way, but I want to be me. I want to be real. I don't want to be just talking to myself about something or telling people how they should do things or what they should be doing. No, I want to get on there, be raw, real. And if somebody and I get into it and we have a debate about something about, okay, comp photos, you disagree with me. Well, let's talk about it then. Let's go. Give me the pros and cons. I'll tell you mine, you tell me yours. And at the end of the day, we have a great podcast to put out for people to kind of figure out where they want to go with things. It is called the Contributory Value Podcast with Mark Skapinetz. And the reason why I named it Contributory Value, because we all know in the appraiser profession, contributory value is taking one aspect of the property and trying to figure out how much value it adds to the property, which could be a positive, it could be a negative. And that's where I got that from, because I want to talk about positive things, but I also want to talk about those negative things too that are going on out there with the profession. And I'm not going to hold back. I don't want to be fake. I want to be me, and I want to put out good information and do as less editing as possible. So that's kind of where I'm going with this podcast. And I'm hoping that it'll just take off and I can have some really good guests on to discuss a lot of different things. It should be interesting.
I can't wait. I wish you all the best. I'll be interested to see how it goes. I mean, you're such a shy guy that I can't imagine that there's going to be much to say. But other than that, I tease, of course.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be scripted. I don't want to have a script. I want to have the topic out there and say, look, we're just going to go at it, man. Let's just you and I, or I may even have 3 guests on at one point just to talk about different on certain topics, to talk about different aspects of where they're coming from, and then allow me to either agree or disagree and kind of have that debate so that we can kind of get to the truth of things. Seek the truth and get to the right things. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, is I want it to be raw, real, in your face, and just hey, take it and run with it. And I hope you all enjoy it, because it's not going to be scripted. It's not going to be one of these, other podcasts out there where you start talking and next thing you know, it's it's cut halfway in between. You know, they cut a big section out or something. Now I want to let it run. And I'm going to be doing some Facebook Lives with it because the software I'm going to be using will allow me to broadcast into the groups, YouTube. So I'm going to do some live events, pop-up live events as well, talking with guests and get them on, especially if it's something that really needs to be talked about.
Very cool. I love it. The Contributory Value Podcast with the Scap.
Can't wait for it. It's, probably about a week away.
I love it. I love it. Appreciate you coming on again, telling your story, keeping everybody up to date as to what's going on, encouraging appraisers to get more involved in the personal, private side of appraisal. Mark, my friend, always a pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dustin. I always enjoy it. And hopefully this one will maybe break a record as well.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.